Your research will tell you what their attitudes are towards your goal, what their ignorance is for people who can determine it, and you develop the timing and tactics of your actions. You can either start with an important event. You might arrange to have...
So you taught the first course in public relations and wrote the first
book.
Textbook in public relations. It's that concept, engineering of public consent. That's your concept.
This can be applied to anything from a university to a government department to a hospital to a bookstore. It obviously was a field that would help people win their social goal.
Do you suppose most world leaders are advised by public relations councils today?
Yes.
Why is that important?
It's basically important because people power rules every country. The consent of the public is basic to anyone's meeting his or her social goals. I would direct the conduct of people so that they could win wanting a career of importance, and I found out that one action that they might commit would destroy whatever reputation had been built up through public visibility.
Edward L. Bernays, you're the father of public relations. What led you, more than 60 years ago, to see the need for public relations?
The war to end all wars, which was Wilson's idea, and the war to make the world safe for democracy, so that I found that ideas were weapons. Why it is so important is that in the United States, every idea that wants to establish itself, we worked out the engineering of consent. In the case of Coolidge, I was called up. He was the wealthiest man in the country, called me up and said, "We would like to retain your services." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Calvin Coolidge is concerned that a remark made by Alice Roosevelt Longworth would ruin his attempt to become President of the United States." So they engaged my services, and I wondered what I could do to change the impression the public would recognize that he was an extraordinary humanist kind of personality. And next morning there wasn't a newspaper in this country, and there are about 2,000 dailies then and 10,000 weeklies, that didn't have a front page story that says President Coolidge breakfast at the White House with Al Jolson, the Dolly Sisters, and other Broadway stars. And what the effect of it was, obviously, at that time, Gallup was not yet around, but Mr. Coolidge was elected President of the United States, and I have a letter from him hanging on my wall. Because number one, you may be doing the wrong thing, and number two, you may not be doing the right thing. And here you are with 431 ideas, and most people who are going to achieve anything having a goal. Well, the first step in such an effort is to decide on your goal. The second step is to find out through research whether the goal that you have in mind is achievable. The other element in the research, after you found out whether it's possible, is to find out how to accomplish your goal. Well, research can find anything that can be found. If you should write to 10 of your role models and tell them, which would be true, that you're writing an article, how to achieve their eminence, that will be published in Broadcasting Magazine, and you get them to accept it, obviously you will know how to achieve your goal. Then, after you've done that, your third step would be, if you find your goal is not attainable, you modify your goal to an attainable one that your research has shown you can attain. Your next step is to decide on strategy on how to get there. Your strategy can be defined by the 4 M's. How to use your mind power and to what extent. How to use your manpower and woman power, depending upon what you are. The next is how to use your mechanics in your strategy, which you get defined by your research. And the last M is how much money are you going to spend in out-of-pocket expenses to accomplish your goal.
So mind power, manpower, mechanics,
manpower
and woman power, mechanics and money.
Those are the 4 M's that are part of your strategy. After your strategy, the next number is organization. How much time are you going to give to it? And are you going to use any other resources, like employing a secretary when you need one, or a mailing bureau, or whatever, or a researcher? After your organization, the next one is themes and appeals that you're going to use with the publics upon whom your success depends. And there, your research will tell you what their attitudes are towards your goal, what their ignorance is, the people who can determine it, what their apathies are, what their prejudices are, or what their ignorances are. So you develop your themes and appeals, and any good psychology will tell you what those themes and appeals should be, and you relate them to what your research found as to attitudes, ignorance, apathy, so on, of what you would like to be. And then your next step is the timing and planning of your tactics. In other words, if you want to be Barbara Walters, you write your article as the first step. Your second step might be to make a speech at a university on the subject. Your third step might be to write an article for an important journal on the needs that the American public should satisfy in the spokesman for a sound point of view. And you develop the timing and tactics of your actions. You can either start with an important event. You might arrange to have a talk at Oxford on the importance of an important woman commentator, or you might make a survey and have 10 economists or historians talk about the importance to the American public of getting the truth and getting life interpreted in a way that will preserve the values of our society. And you work that out on a basis of timing and planning of tactics. If it's 5 years, you have a 5-year plan worked out. And the last is money. And those are your 8 steps.